Hello again. We're on our fourth of 6 lectures on the elements of design, and as I've explained before, we will be using this in our analysis of art, give us a more in-depth look at art, more of appreciation. And we're talking about texture. We talk about textural food, we talk about textural words as we see them in text and poetry. I like to think that texture really enriches our experience, whether it's literature or the visual arts. And we're going to start with visual texture. Not really hard to figure out what that means. A more scientific, I guess, approach would be that as we grow and develop from the time we're born, we associate words with visual experiences of that thing, words with emotions, and so our brain begins to associate certain patterns with the way something would feel on the surface. This is two-dimensional. You're probably only going to see visual texture in two-dimensional artwork. Here's another example by Arcimboldo. It's titled The Roman God of Seasons. At first you look at it and you more or less just see a portrait of a man. And then when you get closer, you can see that it's made up of all sorts of fruits and vegetables. His nose looks like a pear. His eyelids look like pea pods. He's got grapes in his hair, plums and cherries in his hair, wheat, all sorts of things, flowers down around the bottom, cabbage of all sorts. And so he has really taken texture to a whole nother level. Actual texture, three-dimensional objects, sculptures, architectures, installations, our whole entire world is made out of actual texture. Desk, furniture, shoes, clothing, everything has texture. We even talk about food having texture. In art, you will find actual texture only in three-dimensional works of art, just like in our lives. Here Jeff Koons has done a sculpture of Michael Jackson in Bubbles, his monkey that accompanied him for quite some time. And this is made out of clay and painted and glazed. You can see the detail, the texture that he has used in Michael Jackson's hair, the smoothness of his shirt, the embellishments on the front of the shirt, Bubbles' fur you can see, looks like flowers around them. All of this is done with a great deal of attention to texture. Here's another one that I really like. This is called Woman Eating Synthetic Material. And this is made out of polychrome in paint, and then the clothes, the table, the chair, and the accessories are all real. So in a description that an artist puts on a piece of artwork, details all of the things that are in it. The body is primarily what he has constructed out of the polychrome, and you can see that the way he has molded it and shaped it and the materials that he's used give the sense of skin. You could really imagine, without even going up to touch it, that this is skin, this is her body. Everything else is real. I had the opportunity to see this a couple summers ago in Washington, D.C. in the American Art Museum, and you just cannot hold yourself back from walking around this sculpture and looking at her face and seeing what she's doing. And it's in the middle of a floor in this one gallery area, and it is quite amazing. People have always asked, what is the purpose? Why does he do these? And if you look online, you can see that it's in reference to American life, primarily mid to late 20th century, and he's looking at class prejudice, materialism, greed, and focusing on people who may not be beautiful, rich, or well known. So he's kind of putting that out, as opposed to some sculptures or photographs are only of the beautiful people. He is really trying to show the other side of our culture, the realistic side of our culture, that this is what people look like. All of his artwork has to do, all of his sculptures have to do with this same theme. Here's another one, actual texture. The roughness or the smoothness of it can give a sort more of an emotional quality. So rough texture might be ruggedness or neglect. Smooth or polished might be sophistication or preciousness. In this particular polished marble, we see the kiss. I think a lot of people know this image. It's been reproduced. And it's the story of an Italian noblewoman. It was originally called Francesca da Rimini. And it's the story of Francesca falling in love with her husband's brother. Not such a good idea. Paolo, Giovanni's brother, and Francesca are reading Camelot, the story of Lancelot and Guinevere. The book is in his hand on the other side, which we can't see. Well, Giovanni gets wind of this, finds them, and kills them even before they have a chance for their lips to meet. So, very romantic story. When it was first displayed in 1887, the critics thought it was too erotic, too risque, and it didn't really receive a welcome, heartfelt welcome. And when they sent it, they did a 29-inch bronze replica of it and sent it to the 1893 World's Columbian Exhibition in Chicago. The Americans felt it was so unsuitable for general display that they relegated it to an inner chamber where you could only get in by personal application. It wasn't that long ago that this particular sculpture was traveling in a group show around the United States, and when it got to Brigham Young University, they were not allowed to display it. So even today, some people feel it is too inappropriate, too erotic to be even displayed. So just to sum things up, visual texture, two-dimensional, actual texture, three-dimensional. Not too much there. When you're picking out your pictures for your sketchbooks, some people look at paintings of flowers and say, well, if I could actually touch that, it would be actual texture. But paintings are visual texture, so kind of try and separate that out. This is another painting by Arcambolo, and I'm just showing you this because I think it's kind of fun. I counted 30 animals. Now, there might be more, there might be less, but I want you to try and name as many as you can. I found one domesticated animal. You might be able to find more. But again, what I really love about Arcambolo, he makes these look like people. You can see the eye and the nose, but then when you look closer, you see that the eye is actually an animal with its mouth open. The beard is actually looks like a small cat. The cheek and the ear are actually an elephant. So I thought this was a really interesting painting to end the lecture on.